Here's something funky about JavaScript. Functions can return other functions, which is kind of neat. It's kind of bizarre, right? Like here's something like if we wanted to multiply something, right? We could have a multiple function, and inside of that, we could define another function, and then we would return that function, that inner function, right? And so if I say var triple equals multiple 3, that 3 is, represents the n there, or is represented by the n, right? And so then if you use triple, if you call triple with a number, it'll multiply that times 3, right? So triple 5 is 15. Quadruple 5, because you passed in a multiple of 4 first, will be 20. You can also put parens. You can stack parens next to each other. I don't know if you knew that. That's kind of a funky thing, isn't it? So you could do it at once, multiple 4, 5, just like that, because it's returning a function that immediately gets called. So it's a little esoteric, but we have a wide range of knowledge bases here. So I'm trying to touch on as many as possible. OK, so here we're getting into jQuery land, I think, because I think if you look at examples on the web of jQuery scripts, you'll see a lot of what we call anonymous functions. OK, and anonymous functions are functions that have no name, right? So check this out. The first function there, function foo, the first one is a function declaration. We're just starting with the keyword, right? The second one is a function expression. We are saying this variable foo is going to equal this function, and it happens to be a named function, and the name of the function happens to be the same as the variable, right? It's kind of funky, but go with it. The anonymous function is also a function expression, right? But the function itself has no name, right? There's nothing that comes after a function. There's no name that comes after it. We're just assigning a variable to this function. And obviously, in each case, we're not doing anything in the function, so it's not going to return anything. It's not going to do anything. But that's just for the demo. Yes, question.
They look exactly the same to me.
OK, which ones?
Oh, I see. OK, now it's just this function. OK, so the foo is still the left. How does the var foo work?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have the same name here. Okay. You could say var bar equals function foo.
Because when I think of naming a variable, I think of saying var foo equals, and the foo is the name of the variable.
Right.
When you say name, so you go var foo equals function foo, it seems like you're naming it twice.
Right. You're not actually naming. When you say var foo equals function, you're not naming the actual function. You're associating it with a name.
So you're naming the variable, and then you're naming the function.
And then right. In that second one. In the third one, we're just saying we have this function that doesn't have a name because they're named by putting something after the keyword function. Yeah. And yeah, it happens to be anonymous. OK, so anonymous functions are prevalent in jQuery. They're nice for creating closures. We'll talk about that. That's where you can contain variables so that they're not colliding with other variables of the same name elsewhere, right? They're used as callback functions in jQuery, and they can be used as object properties, okay? So let's take a look. Prevalent in jQuery, document ready. How many of you have seen code that uses document ready, jQuery code that uses document ready? OK, almost everybody, right? Document ready. What you see inside the ready there, that's an anonymous function. And check this out. Ready is a function, right? And the argument for that function is a function. We're passing that in as our argument. As opposed to like when we were doing something, we were passing in a number, like number 1 and 2 or whatever. Here, we're not. We're passing in a function. Right? We could do the same thing here. Like we could do this way. Sorry. Okay. Tell you what, let me do it in TextMate because it's easier. Okay. So, here's ready. Okay. There's document ready. Now, I could do this. I could say var my function equals, do something in here, right? And then I could say my function. Does that make sense? I'm saying that this is the same thing as this. So I'm passing it in as an argument. I'm referencing that as the argument of the ready function. Or I could do it like this. Oh, function, my function. And then pass it in. Same idea. Yeah?
I understand that the document has already. Do elements have already?
No. 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 Yeah, images have a load. Other things have a load, like the object element, or iframes have a load. Things with like an src tag, but not they don't have a ready. Okay. All right. So whenever you have a function, variables that you define, that you declare within that function are limited to that function. Okay? Okay. So here's a pattern that you'll see a lot. If you ever download a jQuery plugin and you look at it, you look at the actual code instead of just like dropping it in and ignoring it, you'll see something like this. A lot of jQuery plugins do this. They have an immediately invoked function expression, okay? And that's a lot to manage, so I just call it an IFI, okay? Okay, so this is what it looks like in jQuery plugins often, right? It'll have, it's an anonymous function, right? And we put parentheses around that anonymous function, and then we immediately call it. Okay? And we do this so that like jQuery is what is available outside of it, right? We're calling it with that jQuery, and then dollar is what we can. That's the function's parameter, so we can use that inside the function. That way, if we're using jQuery and prototype or jQuery and MooTools on the same page or something like that, and you're using a plugin, if they don't do something like this, then it's going to break, okay? Because those other libraries also use the dollar as a function name, okay? And it's a global. Okay. They're used as callback functions. So this is kind of interesting. This is a jQuery animation that will slide paragraphs down slowly, right? And so you see here the second argument is an anonymous function, right? And what this does is, the reason it's called a callback function is that here we're actually defining what the function is, right? And jQuery internally will call that function when it finishes with the animation. Okay? So you can, like sometimes if you want to fade something out and then remove it, right? You would fade it out and then put the remove in the callback function so that you're not removing it like immediately, because these animations happen asynchronously, right? They happen and they let other stuff continue happening while they're happening.